very much. Now coming up on stage, let me introduce Arthur Schaper, all the way from Taurus, California. Long drive, long traffic, so welcome. Arthur!
Well, good afternoon, San Juan Capistrano. Good to see you here. I'm so glad it was worth the drive. I really appreciate Nick Taurus. So I want to thank you again for inviting me to speak with all of you today. Again, my name is Arthur Schaper. I'm the organization director for MassResistance. We are an international pro-family group that makes the difference. We are here today joining with other speakers to celebrate the Judeo-Christian heritage of the United States. As President Reagan said, we are either one nation under God or we are one nation gone under. Reagan also said the best social program is a job. But I would now add, the best government institution is the family. God had all the institutions, all the wise structures already in place. Government is the afterthought. Family came first. There was a man and a woman before there was any government or any cities. The family is the bedrock of every successful nation, of every living legacy. Again, that's one man, one woman, in the holy bonds of matrimony, rearing children, committed to their welfare as a couple, and thus the welfare of the children and their generations afterwards. Families were already talking about true welfare and a commitment to that protection. It's not the government's job. Contrary to some of the left-wing propaganda that's pushed, not just in our colleges, but now even in our children's books, there aren't different types of families. Everyone on this earth is born of a woman. Even David Chappelle can tell you that. Sex is a fact. Marriage is an institution. And the notion that we can upend or supplant these realities is deeply destructive to any civilization. I go off script a little bit. Everybody's upset about vaccine mandates and mask mandates. But I have to ask, where was everybody when Aaron and Melissa Klein were persecuted because they wouldn't make the cake for the Where was everybody when the photographers in New Mexico were harassed because they wouldn't take photographs of a fake wedding? Where was everybody when the couple in Hawaii were persecuted because they wouldn't open up their bed and breakfast to a fake couple? Notice I'm not saying gay couple, I'm saying fake. Let's call out the truth, okay? Let's get back to it. Christopher Columbus was featured, so I wanted to make sure I recognized him.
Yes.
When Columbus.
Yes, Columbus.
Woo! Happy early Columbus Day, not Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you very much. So, kind of a segue, but bear with me. So, when Columbus first planted a flag on foreign soil, let's admit it was foreign soil, he recognized the rule of Christ Jesus. Not the King of Spain or Portugal or any other country. One of the fundamental tenets of that divine rule, of course, is the very Judeo-Christian ethic we celebrate. And that is based, again, on the family. One man, one woman. Now, let's talk about our modern times. I'll get back to Christopher Columbus, I promise. So for 40 years now, we have been told a lot that what consenting adults do in private should not concern us. And people can sleep with whomever they want, and it has no bearing on anyone. Well, after 40 years, we have seen the havoc that's been wreaked on our culture. And this is because of the breakdown of the family. We see the spread of venereal disease. We have parents who give birth to children out of wedlock, raised in single-parent homes, even if they're raised at all. These broken children become broken adults who break down our society. The ruthless riots of last year, for example, were by and large the result of spoiled, unguided, unloved children brought forth into an empty world. Think about that. This wasn't about black lives or white lives. This was about children who didn't have parents. That's what you're seeing. this is not just true in ghetto or poor communities, this is even in wealthy communities too. Growing glorification of sexually explicit content, the exploitation of children and adults alike on growing arrays of mass media, that's a desecration of and destruction of intimacy. Does not stay have turned sexual perversion into a civil right. I'm talking about the LGBT agenda. Most people can't talk about that. Even David Chappelle, for all of his boldness, they can't say that homosexuality is bad. Anybody can tell you that a man can be a woman. But still, why is it so hard to say, I'm sorry, but only a man can get married? Why has that become anathema? Why has that become taboo? You know, even on some of these better social media sites, even people don't have the courage to speak the truth about this. This is a problem. So, this perverse movement, the LGBT movement, has had in its targets at the outset the destruction of Christianity and the Judeo-Christian ethic in general. All of it started, now we're going beyond before Christopher Columbus. You can look at what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, where you had converted men, young and old, demanding that Lot turn over the guests so that he could know them. We know what they meant by that. This was a gang rape, militant homosexuality. We find it in Genesis 19, at the beginning of the Bible. And we see that today. The militancy that has become rampant. Many are not aware of this. So I'll bring you back to Christopher Columbus. But the native populations here in the New World, they were into that kind of stuff too. Most people aren't aware of that. Native populations, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mexicas, men were sleeping with men. Women were sleeping with women. They believed in this transgender nonsense. It was considered spiritual. Most people aren't aware of this. They talk about, we want to go, they tell people who don't look like them to go back to Europe, and then you have to look at them, do you really want to go back to that? When you weren't sacrificing your sons and daughters to the sun god, you were sleeping with whomever you wanted to. I'm not afraid to say this. I think this was part of the theme that Taurus wanted to bring up. And I think it's worth saying, I'm really glad that the Spanish showed up. I hope you are too. Because I can tell you this, if Cortez and his coterie of 50 men hadn't landed on the Yucatan Peninsula, there wouldn't be any indigenous people left. Because they would have wiped themselves out. Don't believe me? Look at Easter Island. Those statues didn't build themselves, but whoever built them, they're not there anymore. Western Civ, the Judeo-Christian ethic, Christ and the gospel, that makes a civilization thrive. Anything else is doomed to die. All right, we're fast forwarding again to today, and the Christian faith we see is now being mocked, if not outright criminalized. The foundational mores which hold a society together are falling apart. Here in California, the brazen assault on this state's Judeo-Christian heritage is staggering in its brazenness. Mark Leto, a San Francisco, that says it all, doesn't it? San Francisco state senator tried to ban reparative therapy for adults. He also pushed for the closure of Christian colleges, and he supported allowing males into female restrooms and fitting rooms. He was determined to pass any legislation that would destroy the Christian faith. Most militant voices calling for the removal of California monuments that represent friars and fathers are not just the La Raza activists, but also homosexuals and transgenders who insist on pushing their sexual perversion into the mainstream to marginalize natural affections between men and women and destroy the fundamental values of the family. And of course, what is the culmination of this culture war? Well, let me quote the Gay Men's Chorus of San Francisco. Once again, they are coming for your children. Not just for their minds, but for their bodies. And I'm not going to go into detail on that part of their broader, disgusting, vile agenda. By the way, the Aztecs, the Incas, etc., they did whatever they wanted to their kids, too, if you're not. Columbus put a stop to it. So, mass resistance. We have refused to stand on the sidelines and allow this slouching towards Sodom to turn into a sprint towards Gomorrah. Where most conservatives have all but abandoned adherence and restoration to cultural norms, mass resistance has been committed to taking a firm stance to affirm these values and strengthen them, and win fights that have been abandoned for the most part in the fields of our culture war. For decades, we warned the public, from the United States to Australia and elsewhere around the world, that the destruction of private morality would have horrific public consequences. But we're not just, I like to say my favorite 3 words: told you so. Told you so. We have pushed back on encroaching sex ed curriculum. We have taught kids no longer to dishonor their bodies. We don't allow schools to turn sex into a lustful commodity that one can enjoy anywhere, at any time, with anyone. We have stopped bans of reparative therapy, a therapy which helps people who struggle with unnatural affection or sex dysphoria. We have seen more young people realize the value of sexual license, and it's really a form of bondage, covered up in tinsel and tied up, but still a form of imprisonment nonetheless. And we have fought back, and we have removed corrupt teachers, librarians, and perverse books that indoctrinate and abuse children and adults alike. So to sum up, yes, today we face a very difficult challenge compared to the efforts of Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue on a different path to find a quicker route to trade with the Orient. He discovered a new world, but today we have to revisit old pathways, restore the foundational values which make civilization possible, the recognition of biological fact, restoration of natural marriage, and a redemption of honor for parents, their children, and our country. Christopher Columbus claimed a new world for Christ. It is time for us to restore this new world, which is now a little bit older, to the ancient eternal ways of our founder, God Almighty. If I may be so If I may be so bold, this is the fight we have now. Make male and female great again. Make marriage great again. Make mom and dad great again.
Woo!
This is an exhortation to join us in the fight for restoration of fundamental, natural, and pro-family values. For America to be great again, America has to be good again, as Alexis de Tocqueville shared. And I want to share this. I always have news stories to share. We're fighting subversion in Wyoming. We've been fighting it in Massachusetts. San Juan Capistrano, I got a couple of calls from some parents this week. They stormed the school board, and now they've reached out to us, and we want to help them.
Yeah! Woo!
To become a sanctuary, defy the state, defy the feds. It's time for us to restore natural law. Say we're not going to teach CRT, we're not going to teach LGBT, we're not going to force masks or vaccines on anyone. That's our fight. If you're interested in joining us, see me afterwards. I look forward to signing you up. Thank you again, Nick. We enthusiastically endorse Mr. Taurus for Congress. God bless all of you. And one more time, just to trigger the lips, Happy Columbus Day.
Happy Columbus Day!